Paramount Plus.
You can't count on Derek's tong skills.
Oh, Tony, I think it hit the ground.
But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
Welcome into a post-Turkey Day edition of CBS Sports HQ. I'm Mike Cunio. It's a big day in college football, so we're attacking it Brady Bunch style with the quad box of Danny Cannell, Beanie Wells, and Tom Fornelli joining us. 9 top 25 teams in action, plus the fate of Lane Kiffin hanging over the Egg Bowl today. We're going to get to all of that first, but I got to ask the fellas, did everyone survive the family gatherings? No Turkey Bowl injuries to report today.
We survived here in the Wells household, but we survived just barely. I did have a little explosion go on underneath my deck, so some interesting things happened.
All right, well, good.
I usually save the fireworks for the 4th of July, Beanie.
I know, right? We got it crisscrossed.
All right, well, good to see everyone here with us on a Black Friday. No shopping around. You can just sit on your couch and watch a bunch of football. We're going to get to you guys in a second, but first, sit tight, everyone, because we got a big one today, and we start in Nebraska. The Heroes game between Iowa and Nebraska kicking off at noon. The Hawkeyes have won the last 2 meetings thanks to walk-off field goals. Today's game pits freshman TJ Lateef against the winningest quarterback in college football history, Mark Gronowski, who comes into the game with 56 career wins. Is win number 57 in the cards against the Cornhuskers. Well, today's game is in Lincoln, a.k.a. home away from home for Iowa. The Hawkeyes have won 6 straight road games against the Cornhuskers, a run that dates back to 2013. The stretch, the second best road streak against Nebraska all time. Joining us now, Tiffany Blackman, who will be on the broadcast today, roaming the sidelines in a very chilly Lincoln, but she's going to keep things warm for us here on HQ. First of all, thanks for hopping on. Tiffany, what's been the secret to the road success against Nebraska for Iowa in this rivalry?
Yeah, I think it's just how much these two teams don't like each other, and we're expecting probably to see a little bit of chippiness as they go into this game today. But we did get to talk with Nebraska DB Deshaun Singleton, and he said, yeah, it's a friendly rivalry, but I don't like them. And if you recall last year what happened before kick, it was the captain's handshake, and when the Hawkeyes went to go extend their hands to the Cornhuskers, well, Nebraska, they didn't shake their hands back. So I'm sure some of that's still being carried over with these guys. In fact, you know, the last 2 games have been kind of like deja vu of each other with the way that they've ended with walk-off field goals with Iowa on the winning side. Well, Coach Matt Rule told us they haven't forgotten that, so that's definitely something they've been hammering home this week and trying to finish this game and hopefully make this lopsided matchup go in favor of them.
No, you're going to have the best seat in the house down there on the sidelines. Why is Nebraska running back Emmett Johnson someone everyone at home should keep an eye on?
He's so explosive and dynamic for this team, and when we got the chance to talk to him, he said he's always wanted to be more than just a running back. He wants to be a weapon, and so I asked him, you know, how much he loves being utilized in the passing game because he leads all running backs in the FBS in receptions. I love it. And he said it really fits what Dana Holgerson's offense does, and that it really makes it hard on a defense to stop them because you don't know what he's going to be able to do. If he's running it, if he's catching it out of the backfield. He also told us that every day this offseason, to make sure that he would not have any drops this season, that he would catch 200 passes a day. And he did in that meeting recall saying, I only have, I think, 1 drop this year, but he doesn't anticipate any more.
It's funny that these guys keep track of. Now, for Iowa, Caden Weigent, a lot of people there for the Hawkeyes keeping track of his numbers. When he touches the ball, why should we be paying attention?
Because it's likely he's going to find a way to score, especially as a kick returner. We did talk with offensive coordinator Tim Lester about him. He said, I can't believe that teams still kick it to him, that we're just kind of in disbelief because he always does something amazing. also a receiver on this team, and Lester said he's still working on being dynamic in that aspect of the game, but he's certainly on his way there. And Coach Kirk Ferentz told us he's never really been around a guy like Weigent before, just with how elusive and how he can just create plays and score for this team. I'd be keeping an eye on how they utilize him today. We kind of joked he's basically scored in every way that you can score as an offensive player, only a couple things missing, so I'd keep an eye out for, maybe what they could cook up for him today. But again, Ferentz telling us an explosive guy and a guy that always has a smile on his face, bringing good energy. So that certainly translates to how he plays on the field as well.
Just put the ball in his hands, see what happens. Tiffany Blackman, thank you so much. Best of luck on the broadcast later today there in Lincoln. We got Iowa and we got Nebraska. We'll see if Iowa keeps the winning on the road there continuing. And here's the highest win percentage in November across the country since 2020. Look at Iowa, 19-4, 826 win percentage. That is tied for fourth best. This year, though, entering week 14, they were just 1-2 in the month of November. We'll see if they get back to 500 here in the 11th month on the calendar at kickoff today at noon. All right, let's get back to the quad box. Danny, Beanie, Tom talk about this game. And let's get to this quarterback battle here. You got Latif versus Gronowski, guys, a freshman against a grizzled college vet, you could say. Gronowski's numbers don't jump off the screen, 7 touchdowns, 6 interceptions this year. But, Danny, I'll start with you. What does pop off the screen is 56 wins, 49 of them at South Dakota State. What does he do well, though, under center for Iowa?
I think he takes care of the football better than they've seen in the past decade, maybe. I mean, it's been a disaster for Iowa, and I thought Mark Gronowski had the potential to be a breakout star. And while we haven't gotten that really through the passing numbers, I think we've gotten that in leadership. I mean, I think that's where he stepped up the most. And I remember vividly watching the game against Oregon, and Gary Danielson and Brad Nessler were on the call, and both of them asked each other, do you think he can take this team 90-plus yards? And they were like, I don't know. Well, sure enough, he did. Took him down the field. What could have been the game-winning touchdown, yet it came up just short because they couldn't get the stop at the other end. But I think it's the leadership that he's brought to the table and clearly the rushing prowess that he brings to the table. 13 rushing touchdowns, a lot of those coming in the red zone where he is a threat to run the football. It's kind of opened things up there for them. But I think leadership is probably the biggest thing that Mark Gronowski's brought to this Iowa team.
It's funny when you look at how the Iowa offense has, played this year since Gronowski came in. Blake Horvath is the quarterback at Navy, a team that runs an option offense, yet he has thrown for more yards and more passing touchdowns than Mark Gronowski has for Iowa, which really has kind of transitioned into more of a very heavy rushing, not exactly an option attack, but not all that different from an option attack with Gronowski, because as you mentioned, Danny, he's run for 13 touchdowns. That's 11 more than anybody else on the Hawkeyes team. But what's also funny is you mentioned the lack of production at quarterback there lately. Even though Gronowski has only thrown for 1,363 yards so far this season, that's more than Iowa's last 4 quarterbacks have thrown for in the season. So even though they have been very run heavy, he has been a better passer for them despite that fact. And this is a team that, if you look at it this year, compared to the last few years where we saw some slippage because of the problems at quarterback, there's just so much more stability on offense with these Hawkeyes under Gronowski. So I think that's what he's brought more than anything, is an expectation and a floor that just wasn't there. Even if he's not going to hit the ceiling and lead them to a Big Ten championship or the college football playoff, he's just brought consistency to this team.
I mean, the thing I love about Gronowski is the fact that he transferred over from a program to where he was used to putting the ball in the air on a consistent basis, decided to say, okay, I'm going to take this back seat in terms of being able to chuck the ball downfield and go and be in a position to where I'm going to be asked to do some different things. I'm going to be asked to be the marquee runner in this offense. And you can go back and talk about his passing numbers being down, but all he did this season was go out and make the plays when they needed to be made. In big moments, Mark Gronowski was the one player on the Iowa offense that you knew would step up and give you an opportunity to extend a drive and win a football game. He's been sensational, in my opinion, with minimal passing numbers.
All right, Benny, you mentioned big moments, so I'll start with you here. TJ Latif, this is, when you make your 3rd career start, this is a big moment for you. He's in for Dylan Raiola. Freshman quarterbacks 0-4 against Iowa this year. What's he up against today?
It's going to be up against a very stout defense, a defense that can rush the passer, and that's obviously going to throw a lot at him from a blitz standpoint and to see what the young quarterback is going to give you. I think it's going to be key for Matt Rule to tailor a program around him, a game plan around him to put him in a situation to where he's not going to chuck the ball downfield. He's going to be dinking and dunking his way, driving the ball. I think they've done a great job of that the past couple of weeks. I'm anxious to see what he does in this big matchup. This could be a key piece moving forward if some news that's been coming out decides to go forward and happen, and that's Dylan Raiola leaving. So this could be a huge catalyst for this young quarterback.
Yeah, he's definitely been thrown to the fire somewhat. And there's a couple good things. I think one, he brings more with his legs. Dylan Raiola was a little bit more of a pure pocket passer. So you've seen TJ Lateef at least be able to extend plays, a little bit more dimension of there in the run game. And, I think he's going to see a ton of blitz. Phil Parker is a great defensive coordinator at Iowa. He's one of the best in the business. And you nailed it, Beanie. I mean, if you've got a player coming in there with just 3 starts, you're going to throw the kitchen sink at him, see what he's ready for. But I will also say the best thing he's got going for him is Emmett Johnson in the backfield, where he's rushed over 100 yards 5 out of the last 6 games. So I think you'll see a heavy dose of that. It's kind of brought more balance to this offense because when Dylan Raiola was back there, they were throwing it all over. Dana Holgerson's drawing up pass plays, got a little bit away from the run game. So I think it's brought some physicality back to this Nebraska offense. And you mentioned he might be auditioning for the future, whether it's in Nebraska or somebody else. He could be the starter next year for the Huskers if Dylan Raiola does leave. So I think he sees that as a massive opportunity.
Yeah, this is an Iowa defense that over the years has given 3-year starters problems with what they're able to throw at them and confuse them with. So for a kid starting his 3rd game, I do expect that it's going to be a tough test for Lateef. But the good news is this is somewhat of a silver lining or a blessing in disguise, depending on how you want to look at it. Because the plan when Lateef came, he was a 4-star prospect from California. He's a freshman this year. He was supposed to sit behind Dylan Raiola for 2 years before he was ever really going to be considered the starter and able to take over the offense. But the Raiola injury obviously thrust him into this situation. And now, as Beanie mentioned, the uncertainty around Raiola's future with the Cornhuskers is giving Lateef a chance to face this defense and get some experience heading into next year where there's a decent chance he will be the starting quarterback going into the season. So this is a huge test for him, and it's a big moment. We saw on the road against UCLA a couple of weeks ago, he had a great game, threw for 3 touchdowns. Last week on the road against a very good Penn State defense, did not have nearly that same amount of success, but coming home, playing in a rivalry game like this on Black Friday, I think this is a huge moment for the kid who understands what's in front of him here.
Quick predictions, guys. Tom, I'll start with you. We heard this stat, freshman quarterbacks against Iowa 0-4 this year. Will they be 0-5, or does Lateef kind of change that?
I do think they'll be 0-5. I just think overall as a team, Iowa is in a much better spot than Nebraska right now. And I also, outside of winning, I think it's going to be low scoring, so I would go under.
Same with me. I think Iowa's going to do a great job throwing everything at this young quarterback. And overall as a team, Iowa's a team that's so close in terms of getting over the hump this year and winning big games, most certainly. But Iowa wins this game, and it's going to go with the under. I don't think this game is going to have a lot of point score.
Oh, one thing I can agree with all you guys, the under. I think this game is going to be lower scoring. Both teams not exactly explosive on the offensive side of the balls. And if it's going to be a lower scoring game, that means anything can happen. So I'll go with the home team. I'll go with Nebraska. There's been feels like a lot of stuff is brewing, like what's going on with Dylan Raiola. There's a bunch of guys in the injury report, but I'm going to count on the guys that are there to load up defensively, to give their best effort, keep this thing tight. I love Nebraska with a +6.5. It was a cover 3 lock, but if we're just going to throw it out there, I'll say why not? They win the game too.
All right. Now, we did have some big news this morning. Clark Lee at Vanderbilt. He signs an extension there with the Commodores. Real quick, guys, 90 seconds. Danny, I'll start with you. Your reaction to the extension?
This is huge. I think this is following a trend we're seeing. We saw Eli Drinkwitz staying at Missouri, Rhett Lashlis staying at SMU, Matt Rule staying at Nebraska, Kirk Zanetti in Indiana. It makes me wonder what all these other schools that thought they were going to be able to just swoop in and get whoever they want, what they would think. Ultimately, I think it's great for Missouri to bring him back. He's built a winner. I think he continues to do so.
Yeah, I think this is great for Clark Lee, the Vanderbilt alum, and I think it's great for Vanderbilt. And what Danny was speaking about, in this new era where NIL, I think coaches are kind of understanding that you do not have to go to the quote-unquote bigger job for a chance to win. You can win anywhere now as long as you have the money and the investment into the program.
I would have to agree with you guys. I mean, this is great for Vanderbilt. The only question that I have is, prior to the Diego Pavio era, he had only won 3 SEC games. But it does show going out and getting Diego Pavia with the right players, you can win at Vanderbilt and be a competent team that's competing at a high level in the SEC.
All right, we'll see what other big coaching news comes down. I wonder what that could be. Thank you, guys. All right, don't forget Iowa and Nebraska you can see on CBS and Paramount Plus later today. Hey, we're just, 46 minutes away from this one kicking off. Kick off Black Friday with a lot of fun there in Lincoln. Still to come, Dylan Raiola's brother decommitted. Will Dylan do the same and hit the transfer portal at some point? And is the Lane train leaving the station at Ole Miss? An announcement of his future expected soon. Will it come after the Egg Bowl later today, or will it come tomorrow? And what schools should be on Lane watch? And we're going to dive into rivalry weekend as well. How do these games affect the college football playoff? More HQ coming up.
You can't count on accurate expiration dates.
That is a rookie mistake.
Or the kindness of strangers. But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus.
You think you understand how this business works, but you don't.
I now know why Monty was so stressed.
What's the plan here?
Landman, new season, streaming November 16th, only on Paramount Plus.
You need a hug?
You need a fist?
Crutch, crutch, crutch.
Crutch, crutch.
Crutch, you need anything. I do have one question. We didn't mean right now.
You talk to people, they don't see the badge. I talk to people, that's all they see.
I got worried you coming up here without an escort.
I can handle myself.
I'm gonna spend the rest of my career protecting my father's mission. We don't quit.
Thank you.
That's what my dad would do.
Being on the road, I don't think it's a job. I think it's a calling.
In the Champions League, every picture tells a story, and every great story
would you believe this?
needs an audience.
It's a really special moment.
The UEFA Champions League, every goal, every game, live on Paramount Plus.
Someone at this law firm knew they were fueling an epidemic.
You come forward now, you're just a crazy old lady with no evidence.
You didn't see this coming, did you now?
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars. What a difference he has made.
The question is, can you handle it?
Can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
It's so loud in here.
Oh man, this is awesome. That power. Oh my goodness, what a performance.
Warden, take care of my brother Kyle, and I'll take care of you.
This is my castle now. Do we understand each other?
I want your friends to be mine.
Mayor of Kingstown, new season now streaming on Paramount Plus.
You can't count on Derek's taunt skills.
Oh, Tony, I think it hit the ground.
But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
Well, this isn't going to be your average Egg Bowl. At noon, number 7 Ole Miss takes on Mississippi State. Hanging over the rivalry game, the future of Rebels head coach Lane Kiffin. He has been the hottest name in the coaching carousel this year. An announcement on his future expected to come tomorrow, according to athletic director Keith Carter. Now, Kiffin has been the head coach there at Ole Miss since 2020, and his 54 wins lands him 3rd all-time on the wins list behind John Volt and Billy Brewer. And, of course, the Rebels have much more higher expectations this year, sitting at number 7. They're thinking about college football playoff as well. So, will he stay in the Grove or take his talents to LSU or Florida or maybe elsewhere? To answer those questions, we've got the 24/7 sports guys from all three schools joining us now. Covering the Tigers, Glenn West, the Gators, Zach Goodall, and at Ole Miss, Neil McGreedy. Let's go around the horn here, but I do want to start with Neil, and then followed by Glenn and Zach. Neil, what's the latest on the Lane decision, and what could come from this announcement, whether it's today during the game or tomorrow, like their AD said?
I would be really surprised if anything happened today. Ole Miss plays Mississippi State here in 48 minutes, chance to get to 11-1 for the first time in school history, 11 regular season wins. And yet all the attention is obviously on Lane Kiffin, his future. I don't know that Ole Miss stands in any different place than it did several days ago, which is they want Lane Kiffin to stay. They are willing to pay him incredibly handsomely for him to stay, but they need a decision, because in a world where Lane Kiffin is not going to stay at Ole Miss has to move forward. They have their sights set potentially on some of the same candidates that everyone else does. And their worst nightmare is this dragging into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. Lane Kiffin makes a decision, it's not Ole Miss, and suddenly some of the targets that they would pursue have already been hired elsewhere.
Yeah, I think from an LSU perspective, if you'd asked me 4 or 5 days ago, I think most around Baton Rouge felt really, really confident that Lane Kiffin was coming to LSU. And I don't get the sense that it's changed too much, but I do think that there is certainly more of a possibility now than maybe there was 3 or 4 days ago about Kiffin maybe deciding to stay at Ole Miss. I mean, I think everything from what I have certainly heard is that LSU has made a very compelling offer to Lane Kiffin. They're going to give him all the resources and things that he needs to be successful in Baton Rouge, but this was never going to come down to resources or money, in my opinion. This was always going to come down to where does Lane Kiffin believe he can win championships, and LSU has certainly tried to make that pitch, but I do think the pull of potentially building a legacy in Oxford and staying at Ole Miss is something that is something he'll really consider here as this decision really nears. But from an LSU perspective, I would go maybe from a confidence level of 7 or 8 a couple days ago to maybe closer to a 6 or a 5. I mean, it's really going to be a coin toss, I think, here down the stretch between those two options.
And from my perspective, I find it hard to put a number really on anything. I think it depends on who you give the credit to here, whether it's Lane Kiffin himself, Jimmy Sexton, his agent, a combination of the two. This really feels like a master class in making sure everyone doesn't know what's going to happen. And I'd say from the Florida side that remains the case. I've seen plenty of people write off Florida, that they're out of the race or something along those lines. I've not gotten that sense. From my perspective, it's felt as though Florida is moving quietly, but remains confident in its chances to secure Lane Kiffin. They've not pulled out of this race on their own accord, at least. There have been interviews that have popped up with other candidates, creating contingency plans, maybe. One way or another, if that were the case and they were ultimately moving on, you'd think that they would pick up a little more ground with some of those contingency plans at this point. And they haven't. They're awaiting a decision just like everyone else is. And I believe that they're willing to match any offer that's being made here as well. I don't think that resources are going to determine who ultimately gets Lane Kiffin here. It's going to come down to where he wants to be. And I don't really think anyone knows where he wants to be other than Lane Kiffin, if he even does at this point.
I'm really glad you mentioned the contingency plans. We'll get to that in a second. But Neil, I'll start with you, and I do want to get your opinions from all three. Is there a little Lane Kiffin fatigue in this from the fan bases? Are the message boards lighting up? Are fans a little drawn out from this whole will he stay, will he go drama?
Yeah, a couple of things. I agree with both of the guys. It's not going to come down to money. He's going to make an absolute ton of money next season, whether it's in Oxford, Baton Rouge, Gainesville, or somewhere else. This is not going to be about money. And then the Ole Miss thing is, you got to add this. This is the complicating factor for Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, is assuming Ole Miss wins today, Lane Kiffin is going to have to walk away from an 11-1 team that's headed to the college football playoff. Ole Miss is not going to let him take another job and coach Ole Miss in the playoffs. Can't have both. So that's the complicating problem. And then your question about is there fatigue? Yes, absolutely. This has been basically since the day that Ole Miss lost to Georgia, and that was in the middle of October. So we're 6-7 weeks into this daily saga. And yeah, people are tired of it. And I mean, some of his social media things have irritated people. And yet at the same time, it's still a fan base that wants him to stay But I think maybe it shifted from really, really wanting him to stay to, we want you to stay, but man, you got to hurry up and make the decision.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend to say that things on the LSU board are anywhere close to what they've been on Ole Miss's. I mean, I can't imagine what that fan base is going through as this process is weighing on Kiffin right now. But from an LSU perspective, they, at least on our site and on our board, we've been trying to play it down the middle a little bit here because this really does feel like it's up in the air at this point. And so I think most of the fan base, at least from a Go 24/7 perspective and on our message boards, have been pretty level-headed about this whole thing. I think they want some resolution to this as well because, to Neil's point, there are other candidates out there that all these teams will have to pivot towards if Kiffin is not the choice for their respective programs. So it's certainly some contentious days here, I think, in the hours to come. But it's something that that's why you sign up for these message boards, is to kind of get all the fan perspective, all the intel perspective, and I think from an LSU perspective, they're just ready for this to be over as much as anybody.
Yeah, and kind of like what Glenn said, when it comes to the Swamp 247 message board, my coworker Graham Hall and I have both tried to be as even-keeled as possible. We don't want to create false hope for anyone, but we've just tried to share what it is that we know and what it is that we can assume of this. Florida fans, I think they've heeded that very well, especially on our board. At the same time, you got to remember, this time last year, Florida fans were clamoring for Lane Kiffin when they thought that there was a chance Billy Napier would be gone. I mean, heck, you look back to 2021, he wasn't the coaching candidate he is today, yet there was, rumored and reported interest on Lane Kiffin's side of the Florida opening when they had let Dan Mullen go. And fans, some with great foresight seemingly, wanted Lane Kiffin then. So this has been years and years of buildup on Florida's side, and people are excited over just the possibility of getting Lane Kiffin to Florida. So right now, that excitement is palpable. It's in the air. People are being realistic, understanding he could always go elsewhere, but they're letting their excitement get them through this very extended period of coaching rumors and carousel. And if emotions are going to go any other way, it'll be if Lane Kiffin ultimately doesn't end up at Florida. Then we would start to, I'm sure, see the rage and maybe even confusion, just wondering where Florida will go among the contingency plans it appears to have at least started building out.
All right, final question for each of you. Got about a minute each, and let's talk about those contingency plans. Neil, I'll start with you. What is the Lane Kiffin contingency plan for Ole Miss?
I can confirm for you right now that he is in Starkville, Mississippi, standing on the 21-yard line. So everyone, the minute by minute, where's Lane Kiffin? I can tell you emphatically where he is right this very minute. The contingency plan for Ole Miss, I believe, is that they would love to be able, if Lane Kiffin leaves, they would love to be able to have time to go after John Summerall, former Ole Miss assistant, now the head coach at Tulane. I don't know that they'll have time for that. Auburn's involved. I think Florida's involved. After that, I think Eli Drinkwitz was on their board. He just re-signed with Missouri. Ole Miss had some interest in Clark Lee. He just re-signed with Vanderbilt. I mean, it kind of goes back to my first answer. Ole Miss would really love to keep Lane Kiffin, but if they're losing Lane Kiffin, they need to lose Lane Kiffin in the next 24 hours.
Yeah, I'll back Neil up on that one. At least from an LSU perspective, if they lose out on Kiffin, Eli Drinkwitz was a name we heard a lot, and now in the last 24 hours, he signed an extension to remain at Missouri. So that is now crossed off the list. I think a couple names you'll continue to hear from an LSU perspective. Arizona State's Kenny Dillingham is somebody that I think LSU would show some interest in if Kiffin did not decide to shoot the Tigers. And then Tulane's John Summerall is right down the road, and I do think that would be something that LSU really intensifies their ramp up process of vetting him if Kiffin were to choose Florida or Ole Miss. But from just an LSU perspective, they have been all in on this, all in on Kiffin. They have not really gone deep into any other coaching candidates from what we've heard. So this is really going to be an interesting process to see how quickly LSU can ramp that up if Kiffin is not the choice for LSU. So Summerall, Dillingham, Blake Baker would be the in-program promotion guy that I think LSU could certainly be kind of like as a safety net for them if some of these options don't work out. But that's just a little bit of who we're hearing could be that second option for LSU if it's not Kiffin.
That's what makes just another layer of what makes this so fascinating is I think Neil, Glenn, and I are hearing similar things on contingency plans. I mean, yeah, Florida is also all in on Lane Kiffin. I reported a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago, that there was no clear backup plan on Florida's side, and that wasn't without a lack of vetting. Kenny Dillingham is a name that has come up to me, and I was told that he told Florida no, at least early in the process, on being the contingency plan. Clark Lee, with his extension to Vanderbilt, it came out shortly thereafter. He had interviewed with Florida. I heard that there was interest. It was news to me at the time that he had interviewed. John Summerall is someone that there was reportedly a meeting set up that was then later canceled when it leaked. Just to bring up another name, I've not heard much about Jed Fish as a possibility, but let's say Florida swings and misses on Kiffin and is now missed on some of these other guys. You would think he would at least come up in the conversation at that point as someone who went to Florida, was a grad assistant under Steve Spurrier, like Lane Kiffin, wears the visor because of Steve Spurrier. So maybe at that point, Florida would decide to kick the tires on Jed Fish. But it's a similar story. They are waiting out Lane Kiffin. He's been their guy all along, to the point where I don't think even Florida knows with 100% certainty who it would offer the job next to should Lane Kiffin say no.
All right, Glenn, Neil, Zach, good luck to all three of you, no matter which way this news breaks. Thank you so much for all the great information there on the latest on Lane Kiffin as the Egg Bowl gets ready to kick off in about half an hour. Don't forget, check out the Cover 3 podcast. I'm sure the guys will have plenty of takes and reaction there on whatever Lane Kiffin decides to do. You can watch now or listen wherever you find your podcast, or of course, use that QR code you see on your screen.
You can't count on accurate expiration dates.
That is a rookie mistake.
Or the kindness of strangers. But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount+.
You think you understand how this business works, but you don't.
I now know why Monty was so stressed.
What's the plan here?
Landman, new season, streaming November 16th, only on Paramount+.
You need a hug?
You need a fist?
Crutch, crutch, crutch.
Crutch, crutch.
Crutch, you need anything.
I do have one question.
We didn't mean right now.
You talk to people, they don't see the badge. I talk to people, that's all they see.
I got worried you coming up here without an escort.
I can handle myself.
I'm going to spend the rest of my career protecting my father's mission.
We don't quit.
Thank you. That's what my dad would do.
Being on the road, I don't think it's a job. I think it's a calling.
In the Champions League, every picture tells a story, and every great story
would you believe this?
needs an audience.
It's a really special moment.
The UEFA Champions League, every goal, every game, live on Paramount+.
Someone at this law firm knew they were fueling an epidemic.
You come forward now, you're just a crazy old lady with no evidence.
You didn't see this coming, did you now?
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars. What a difference she has made.
The question is, can you handle it?
Tell me, can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount+.
It's so loud in here.
Oh man, this is awesome. That power. Oh my goodness, what a performance.
Warden, take care of my brother Kyle, and I'll take care of you.
This is my castle now. Do we understand each other?
I want your friends to be mine.
Mayor of Kingstown, new season now streaming on Paramount+.
You can't count on Derek's taunt skills.
Oh, Tony, I think it hit the ground.
But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount+.
Well, things could get spicy here in Week 14 when it comes to the college football playoff. Thanks to Rivalry Weekend, number 4 Georgia going to have to contend with their in-state neighbors, Georgia Tech. Number 3 Texas A&M traveling to number 16 Texas in prime time. And tomorrow you get Ohio State and Michigan in a 1 versus 15 matchup. Shop from your phones if you can. Just sit back and enjoy some of the potential mayhem. You got the Egg Bowl between Ole Miss and Mississippi State at noon, kicking things off for us. Just a few minutes here. The good old-fashioned hate down the Peach State starts at 3:30. The Lone Star Showdown, 7:30. And if you didn't know, the Old Oaken Bucket between Indiana and Purdue tomorrow, as well as one of the all-time great rivalries, the Iron Bowl between Bama and Auburn. All right, let's welcome back our quad box. Danny Cannell, Beanie Wells, Tom Fernelli. We saw an all-timer last year, guys, between Georgia and Georgia Tech. 8 overtime thriller. I feel like Haynes King became an overnight success or overnight legend there in Atlanta, and Bobby Dodd because of what he was able to do in that game, albeit in a loss. But Tom, I'll start with you. What do the Bulldogs need to be worried about this year when it comes to Georgia Tech in this game?
Well, I think first and foremost, you mentioned it, Haynes King, what he was able to do in this game last season that gave Georgia fits and nearly helped the Yellow Jackets pull off the upset. I think if you're the Bulldogs, that's plan 1, 2, and 3 of who we need to stop and who we need to limit to make sure that we can win this game, because there is a lot on the line for Georgia here. They have to depend on results elsewhere in the SEC to get to Atlanta to play for an SEC championship. But regardless of the situation, beating Georgia Tech here would be a ranked win, which would help them in their bid, in their seed in the college football playoff. Whereas if they lose the game, suddenly they might be in a situation where they find themselves on the road in the first round, and I don't think that's where anybody wants to be. So I think if you're the Bulldogs, your defense needs to shine today. Your linebackers need to play very well. They've been banged up there, but you need to find a way to keep Haynes King in the pocket and limit his ability to stretch drives and extend him and get first downs with his legs.
You know, when we last saw Georgia in a big game, it was versus the University of Texas, and all they did was go out and dominate that team on both sides of the football. I think today is going to be, Saturday is going to have to be more of the same in controlling Haynes King, pitting him in some uncomfortable situations. We saw Haynes King look close to human the last couple of weeks of this college football season, throwing interceptions, off timing, not looking like the same disciplined football team that Brent Key rolls out there on Saturday. So this game is going to be critical for both teams. If, the ACC wants to get more representatives, Georgia Tech's going to have to go out and shock the world and upset Georgia. If Georgia wants to be in prime position in the college football playoff, they need to take care of business, and it starts by running the football, playing great defense, and Gunnar Stockton making sound decisions.
Beanie, I don't know how Georgia's going to do this on the road. I mean, right down the street in Atlanta, which is only 45 minutes, and they're probably going to have 60% of that Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Georgia Bulldog red. This game probably worries me the most from a blowout perspective. I mean, it is the highest point spread from the games we're going to talk about, like the key rivalry games. I do worry a little bit because Georgia Tech's defense has been atrocious. Now, in the second half against Pitt last week, they did settle in. They did start to get after Mason Heichel. But as much as we talk about Haynes King, and deservedly so, Gunnar Stockton is somebody, every time Georgia has a big game, all he does is go out and throw 4 touchdown passes and no interceptions. And he's pretty mobile, too. He finds a knack for making his plays. So I think Georgia Tech's defense has to take some risks today, take some chances, try to get home. I think you feel like you're going to get scored on anyway. Why not try to force some turnovers and potentially get to Gunnar Stockton? So I think this game could be higher scoring because I know that Georgia's going to score against Georgia Tech. And I do think Buster Faulkner is a great offensive coordinator with a great talented quarterback like Haynes King. I think he'll put up some points. I just don't know if it's going to be anywhere close to what Georgia puts up.
Hey, Danny, give the Bulldogs a little bit more credit. That drive is 1 hour and 25 minutes from Athens to.
Well, not if Georgia
not
players
the way Georgia drives.
All right. We will move on there from top 25 matchup between Texas A&M and Texas in Austin tonight. Tom, you're in timeout. You're going to go last. Danny, you start us off here. Do the Aggies stay unbeaten, make it to their first SEC title game?
I think so. I feel like it. I picked this in the cover 3 locks. I'm leaning with the Aggies. I think they're the more complete football team. I trust Marcel Reed more than I trust Arch Manning, but not by much. They've both been a little bit up and down. And probably most importantly, I trust the defense from Texas A&M. Cassius Howell, leading sacker in the SEC. Texas A&M, one of the best teams getting after the quarterback. And while Arch Manning has struggled somewhat under pressure, most of those places have been on the road. So that's something I'm keeping an eye on is, can Texas A&M, that defense, rattle Arch Manning when he's in his own backyard and he's playing at home? Because Arch has been playing some really good football, but granted, it's come against some teams that aren't as talented. This is going to be a really fun back-and-forth game. I lean towards the Aggies. I think they have more ways to win. I think they're a more complete football team. But in a rivalry like this, point spread so low, I don't love it. I'm going to sit back and relax. I think the Aggies win, but Texas is more than capable of winning this game.
Yeah, it's not very often we get to this point in the season and you feel like you don't really know who a team is yet, even though Texas A&M does enter this game 11-0, because while they are very complete, they're excellent on defense, they're excellent on offense, they can throw the ball, they can run the ball, they can do whatever they have to do to win games. If we look back at Texas A&M's schedule this year, they had that huge win over Notre Dame back in week 2, which has really been the biggest win for them. But that, you could argue, is the last time that the Aggies actually played what would be considered a very good football team, because their schedule in the SEC, as far as the context of that league is concerned, has been very easy. So now they've got to deal with a Texas team that might have 3 losses, but remains one of the better teams in the country. And you're going on the road to Austin, where you're facing a rival who, believe me, would love nothing more than to ruin your undefeated season and perhaps take you out of the SEC championship game at the same time, while also boosting their case to get to the college football playoff. This is a very fascinating game for me. I'm not sure who's going to win. I'm with Danny. I feel like this one is a coin flip.
I'm with both of you guys, man. I'm so conflicted when we talk about Texas A&M. On one hand, we can sit there and say they look like the number 3 team in the country. Look, they are in the SEC. They're undefeated. They went out and played teams and at times looked great. They're a battle-tested bunch. But then you start scratching your head and say, you know what? Are they really legit? Because when you look at and dissect their schedule and their resume, some of the teams that they went out and beat, they weren't great. Those games were much closer than we all would have liked to see from a number 3 team in the country. I go back to the Auburn game, only winning that one, what was it, 16-10. And I'm like, wow, Texas A&M is supposed to be a world beater. They have Marcel Reese. They have Mike Elko. So I'm kind of scratching my head because I know Texas is a quality football team. I know how they rush the passer. I know we've seen a young Arch Manning start to look better the later part of the year in this college football season. So I don't know, man. It's going to be a tough game, and we all know with rivalry games, you can throw records out the window. Teams elevate themselves to a completely different level.
All right, this next rivalry game may be the best of the bunch. Here we go. Ohio State, Michigan. These 2 teams have won the last 2 national titles. Ohio State on the doorstep once again. Beanie, we'll start with you, obviously. Is there anything that team up north can do to slow down the Buckeyes?
Yeah, I mean, if Cardell Tate and Jeremiah Smith's not in this football game, you know, I'm kind of clutching my pearls and, you know, holding on tight because, you know, there's cause for concern if those guys aren't out there, because we go back to a running style football team, which Ohio State hasn't done running the football exceptionally well this year. You know, we've been a team that's been passing to open up the run. In years past, we were a run-first football team, but that hasn't been the case. And if we play right into Michigan's arms, it could get scary. But for the most part, we got a stifling defense that is most certainly going to make it tough for the young quarterback and Bryce Edwards. I'm just concerned what we'll have to do on the offensive end if we don't have our 2 horses in the stable outside on the edge.
I'm fascinated to see what happens mentally. Because to me, this is all a mental game, right? I mean, even Ryan Day is taking an airplane for a 3-hour bus ride. He's going to hop on a plane because he wants to keep everything same as routine as they've done all season long and different from what they've done the last couple times they've been to Ann Arbor. I think he's trying to shake things up. And in a game that should be kind of ugly conditions, a lower scoring game, how do they go? I mean, that to me is the big question. Physicality. That's been one thing that's been glaring because you feel like Ohio State is a very physical football team, and then they go against Michigan and they get pushed around somewhat. It feels like they should be very clear-cut the better football team, but can they go out there? Can they go ahead and take control of this game? I'd like to see them open it up some in the pass game as opposed to run down the throat. Like then you're working into Michigan's game, but without those receivers being 100% healthy potentially, I don't know if that's what they do. So I think Ohio State is very clearly the better football team, but we know history. How much is that in play in Ann Arbor? I think this is going to be a wild one.
Beanie said it already. When it comes to these rivalry games, we throw out the record books. I don't care what happened the last few years. I know Michigan has beaten Ohio State the last couple seasons. I know that is looming large over Buckeye fans everywhere. It's just when I've watched Michigan this year, they're 9-2. Those two losses have come against the two good teams that they've played. They lost to Oklahoma. They lost to USC. And when I look at them going up against the Buckeyes, I just don't know if Bryce Underwood, a very talented quarterback, but also a freshman quarterback, I don't know if I've seen enough from him to think that he's going to be able to lead the Wolverines to an upset win over this Buckeyes team. Even if we have concerns about the Ohio State offense and the health status of Jeremiah Smith and Cardell Tate, the Buckeyes defense hasn't allowed more than 16 points in a game all season, which tells me as long as Ohio State scores 17 points, they're going to be just fine. And I like Ohio State's ability to score 17 points against this Michigan defense.
All right, you know, these are all rivalry games, and they all come with their own kind of pressure. Tom, I'll start here with you on this one, because Alabama might have a Oh, okay, we're wrapping this up for now. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget, we've got the Oregon, Washington, Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Sorry about that. CBS and Paramount Plus. You can stream it there. You want to catch that game. Big one there between the Ducks and Washington.
You can't count on accurate expiration dates.
That is a rookie mistake.
Or the kindness of strangers. But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus.
You think you understand how this business works, but you don't.
I now know why Monty was so stressed.
What's the plan here?
Land season, streaming November 16th, only on Paramount Plus.
You need a hug?
You need a fist?
Crutch, crutch, crutch.
Crutch, crutch.
Crutch, you need anything.
I do have one question.
We didn't.
You talk to people, they don't see the badge. I talk to people, that's all they see.
I was worried you coming up here without an escort.
I can handle myself.
I'm going to spend the rest of my career protecting my father's mission. We don't quit.
Thank you.
That's what my dad would do.
Being on the road, I don't think it's a job. I think it's a calling.
In the Champions League, every picture tells a story, and every great story
Would you believe this?
needs an audience.
It's a really special moment.
The UEFA Champions League, every goal, every game, live on Paramount Plus.
Someone at this law firm knew they were fueling an epidemic.
You come forward now, you're just a crazy old lady with no evidence.
You didn't see this coming, did you now?
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars. What a difference she has made.
The question is, can you handle it?
Tell me, can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
It's so loud in here. Oh, man, this is awesome.
That power. Oh, my goodness. What a performance.
Warden, take care of my brother Kyle, and I'll take care of you.
This is my castle now. Do we understand each other?
I want your friends to be mine.
Mayor of Kingstown. New season now streaming on Paramount Plus.
You can't count on Derek's tong skills.
Oh, Tony, I think it hit the ground.
But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
All right, a lot of talk about the future of head coaches today, but what about the future of Nebraska quarterback Dylan Raiola? A lot circling around his future with the Cornhuskers. Obviously, a highly touted five-star recruit a couple years ago in Nebraska, but now with the transfer portal and all the rumors circling, could we be seeing his final day there in Lincoln? The five-star phenom was the #2 quarterback, #7 overall recruit in the class of 2024. He attended 3 high schools in 4 years across 3 different states. So this guy has been on the move a lot in his time in a football jersey. He decommitted from Ohio State, Georgia, before eventually landing with Nebraska. They are preparing for a possible transfer now with Dylan Raiola. 24/7 sports recruiting analyst Tom Loy joining us now. You and Chris Hummer have been all over this Dylan Raiola saga from the beginning. Are the Sharks starting to circle here around Raiola for his services?
Absolutely. I mean, this has been going on, honestly, probably since he arrived in Lincoln. But yeah, it's our expectation, based on talking to sources, that Nebraska is currently preparing for a future without Dylan Raiola. It's what we've heard, and we were kind of hearing it even prior to his brother Dayton Raiola decommitting from Nebraska. And he's he's a talented arm in the class of 2026. So it's my best guess at this point that both of them land at the same school, but there's a lot of moving parts involved here. I mean, you got to have somebody, you have to have a head coach that's comfortable bringing in potentially another 2026 arm in Dayton, and then obviously having the day one spot open for Dylan Raiola to transfer in. So again, it's just a lot of writing on the wall, a lot of chatter behind the scenes that the future in Lincoln revolves around young quarterback TJ Lateef, and then the guy they brought in 2027 that everybody is all raving about in Trey Taylor, one of the top arms. So again, I think that is the future that Matt Rule and his staff is setting it up for, and it's really less about Dylan Raiola.
What kind of effect would this have on the recruiting world? What kind of dominoes would fall here if Dylan decided to transfer?
Again, we kind of already talked about Dayton opening up, and I really think that Dylan's decision was really more impactful on Dayton than vice versa. But I think that this is going to be interesting because, and there's really not much they can do about it right now with signing day being on December 3rd, but there's going to absolutely be a quarterback that picked a school where Dylan Raiola eventually goes that they're like, man, I didn't expect him to be in the room as well. That's going to make it a little more difficult for me to be in that room and play earlier. But again, Dylan is looking for a place to be one and done. He's finding the best fit for him to set him up for the NFL. And this is one of the most talented prospects in all of college football. So again, if you're picking a school, you wanted to be the day one guy, Dylan Raiola makes that a little difficult. But again, more likely than not, they're going to sit a year, wait a year, learn from Dylan, and actually it's going to benefit everybody wherever they land.
All right, Tom, we got about 90 seconds here. How does Clark Lea's decision affect Jared Curtis's decision? The blue chip quarterback committed to Georgia, but a lot of talk about him flipping to Vandy. Does Lea's extension with the Commodores mean that's a likelihood?
Last Saturday, I made it very clear that I thought five-star quarterback Jared Curtis was going to eventually flip from Georgia to Vanderbilt. I got a lot of, we'll call them interesting, strange text messages and DMs on social media, but I really believe this is exactly what Jared Curtis was waiting for. Clark Lee is Vanderbilt and vice versa. This is everything to the Nashville community, to the Commodores community, and Jared Curtis wants to play day one. He is that special of a player. We, Director of Scouting Andrew Ivins, everybody's in agreement that Jared Curtis is an immediate impact difference maker. He is truly, in my opinion, the best pure passer in all of 2026. I believe he could step in right away and lead this team, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I expect him to flip from Georgia to Vanderbilt at some point. He's going to make his decision and really sign everything on Friday, December 5th. Signing day starts the 3rd. He could make a decision at that point a little bit before then, but all signs point towards him on Wednesday playing for a state championship and then eventually picking a school on Friday.
All right, yep, signing day coming up December 3rd. Should be a lot of fun. You got Lane Kiffin watch, you got Dylan Raiola watch, and of course how all the dominoes fall from there. Tom Loy, thank you so much for joining us here on HQ. Hey, speaking of five-star quarterbacks like Dylan Raiola once was, check out our docuseries 5-Star streaming on Paramount Plus starting December 2nd and follow what it's like to be one of the top quarterbacks in the country.
You can't count on accurate expiration dates.
That is a rookie mistake.
Or the kindness of strangers. But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus.
You think you understand how this business works, but you don't.
I now know why Monty was so stressed.
What's the plan here?
Landman, new season, streaming November 16th, only on Paramount Plus.
You need a hug?
You need a fist?
Crutch, crutch, crutch.
Crutch, crutch.
Crutch, you need anything.
I do have one question.
We didn't mean right now.
You talk to people, they don't see the badge. I talk to people, that's all they see.
I got worried you coming up here without an escort.
I can handle myself.
I'm going to spend the rest of my career protecting my father's mission.
We don't quit. Thank you.
That's what my dad would do.
Being on the road, I don't think it's a job. I think it's a calling.
In the Champions League, every picture tells a story, and every great story
would you believe this?
needs an audience.
It's a really special moment.
The UEFA Champions League, every goal, every game, live on Paramount Plus.
Someone at this law firm knew they were fueling an epidemic.
You come forward now, you're just a crazy old lady with no evidence.
You didn't see this coming, did you now?
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars. What a difference she has made.
The question is, can you handle it?
Can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
It's so loud in here. Oh, man, this is awesome.
That power. Oh, my goodness. What a performance.
Warden, take care of my brother Kyle, and I'll take care of you.
This is my castle now. Do we understand each other?
I want your friends to be mine.
Mayor of Kingstown. New season now streaming on Paramount Plus.
You can't count on Derek's tong skills.
Oh, Tony, I think it hit the ground.
But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
Let's get to your headlines here on HQ. Oregon State has hired Alabama co-offensive coordinator and wide receivers coach Jamarcus Shepard as its next head coach. He followed Kalen DeBoer to Alabama after working on his coaching staff in Washington. Shepard replaces Trent Bray, who was fired in October after an 0-7 start to the season. In the NFL, Lions All-Pro wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown is believed to have suffered a low ankle sprain during Thursday's loss to the Packers. That's according to the NFL Network. He was injured in the first quarter and was unable to return. Brown is not expected to be placed on IR, which means he's set to miss 3 games or fewer for Detroit. In the NBA, Thunder star Jalen Williams will make his season debut for the defending champs tonight against the Suns. He underwent surgery for a torn ligament in his wrist in July and has missed the first 19 games of the season. The All-Star shooting guard will rejoin a Thunder team with the best record in the NBA at 18-1. Don't forget, we've got Boise State taking on Utah State at 4 Eastern on CBS. That will follow the conclusion of Nebraska-Iowa. Broncos still alive in the Mountain West title game race. That's going to do it for this hour of HQ. Remember, we're on Lane Kiffin Watch as Rivalry Week in college football kicks off. Fresh hour of HQ coming up next.
You can't count on accurate expiration dates.
That is a rookie mistake.
Or the kindness of strangers. But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus.
You think you understand how this business works, but you don't.
I now know why Mommy was so stressed.
What's the plan here?
Landman. New season streaming November 16th. Only on Paramount Plus.
You need a hug?
You need a fist?
Crutch, crutch, crutch.
Crutch, crutch.
Crutch, you need anything. I do have one question. We didn't mean right now.
You talk to people, they don't see the badge. I talk to people, that's all they see.
I got worried you coming up here without an escort.
I can handle myself.
I'm going to spend the rest of my career protecting my father's mission.
We don't quit. Thank you.
That's what my dad would do.
Being on the road, I don't think it's a job. I think it's a calling.
In the Champions League, every picture tells a story, and every great story
would you believe this?
needs an audience.
It's a really special moment.
The UEFA Champions League, every goal, every game, live on Paramount Plus.
Someone at this law firm knew they were fueling an epidemic.
You come forward now, you're just a crazy old lady with no evidence.
You didn't see this coming, did you now?
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars. What a difference she has made.
The question is, can you handle it?
Can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
It's so loud in here. Oh, man, this is awesome.
That power. Oh, my goodness. What a performance.
Warden, take care of my brother Kyle, and I'll take care of you.
This is my castle now. Do we understand each other?
I want your friends to be mine.
Mayor of Kingstown. New season now streaming on Paramount Plus.
You can't count on Derek's tonk skills.
Oh, Tony, I think it hit the ground.
But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
Well, this isn't going to be your average Egg Bowl. At noon, number 7 Ole Miss takes on Mississippi State. Hanging over the rivalry game, the future of Rebels head coach Lane Kiffin. He has been the hottest name in the coaching carousel this year. An announcement on his future expected to come tomorrow, according to athletic director Keith Carter. Now, Kiffin has been the head coach there at Ole Miss since 2020, as his 54 wins lands him 3rd all-time on the wins list behind John Volt and Billy Brewer. And, of course, the Rebels have much more higher expectations this year, sitting at number 7. They're thinking about college football playoff as well. So, will he stay in the Grove or take his talents to LSU or Florida or maybe elsewhere? To answer those questions, we've got the 24/7 sports guys from all 3 schools joining us now. Covering the Tigers, Glenn West, the Gators, Zach Goodall, and at Ole Miss, Neil McGreedy. Let's go around the horn here, but I do want to start with Neil and then followed by Glenn and Zach. Neil, what's the latest on the Lane decision and what could come from this announcement, whether it's today during the game or tomorrow, like their AD said?
I would be really surprised if anything happened today. Ole Miss plays Mississippi State here in 48 minutes. Chance to get to 11-1 for the first time in school history, 11 regular season wins. And yet all the attention is obviously on Lane Kiffin, his future. I don't know that Ole Miss stands in any different place than it did several days ago, which is they want Lane Kiffin to stay. They are willing to pay him incredibly handsomely for him to stay, but they need a decision because in a world where Lane Kiffin is not going to stay at Ole Miss has to move forward. They have their sights set potentially on some of the same candidates that everyone else does. And their worst nightmare is this dragging into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. Lane Kiffin makes a decision, it's not Ole Miss, and suddenly some of the targets that they would pursue have already been hired elsewhere.
Yeah, I think from an LSU perspective, if you'd asked me 4 or 5 days ago, I think most around Baton Rouge felt really, really confident that Lane Kiffin was coming to LSU. And I don't get the sense that it's changed too much, but I do think that there is certainly more of a possibility now than maybe there was 3 or 4 days ago about Kiffin maybe deciding to stay at Ole Miss. I mean, I think everything from what I have certainly heard is that LSU has made a very compelling offer to Lane Kiffin. They're going to give him all the resources and things that he needs to be successful in Baton Rouge, but this was never going to come down to resources or money, in my opinion. This was always going to come down to where does Lane Kiffin believe he can win championships, and